You know, looking through your past can sometimes help unlock issues you're having right here in the present day. In his new book, A Round of Golf with My Father, author William Damon introduces us to a concept called the life review and how it can help us all as we write the next chapter of our lives.
A life review is going back over the high points and low points of your life, and also the folks that came before you that influenced you, like your parents and ancestors, and trying to make sense out of how you got to be the person you are now. Also, it's a way to think about choices you've made, sometimes good choices, sometimes mistakes. We all make mistakes, and how to deal with those mistakes in a way that doesn't leave you burdened with regrets, but rather understanding how even something you did that maybe you wouldn't do now has led you to the person you are now, and thinking about it in a way that gives you a purposeful, positive life forward, a path forward that is positive and hopeful.
I can imagine it might be a little intimidating, maybe a little scary to go over some of the old hurts and give yourself a life review, but why should we be considering this?
Well, it is, you're absolutely right. We often avoid thinking about our pasts because there are things that we don't want to remember, or even things that we never understood. In my case, it was triggered by a discovery about my father, who I never met. And I had never even known that he continued a life after he basically abandoned my mother and me. When I discovered this, it was my daughter that discovered it, actually. And when I discovered it, it was important for me to come to some understanding of what that meant in my life, and in a way that would give me a path to affirming my life, to feeling grateful for the way I was able to be resilient, and also a way to forgive him, which in the long run, you know, when you forgive somebody, it's not only good for that person, it's good for you to be able to have that act of forgiveness.
Yeah, it really does free you up in a lot of ways. It's hard. Forgiveness is hard, but it does, like you said, it does free you up. Tell us about the meaning of the title behind the book. Obviously, you said you didn't know your father, so the title seems a little odd.
That's right. The title is A Round of Golf with My Father. And it sounds like I played a round of golf with him. But this was an imaginary round of golf. I discovered he had been dead for 20 years when I discovered a lot of things about him, including that he was a great golfer. And I loved golf. And one of my regrets was that I never got to play with him. And so I uncovered through my life review and all the research I did, an old scorecard that he left in a country club that he played on when he was 12 years old. And so I took the scorecard, I visited the country club, and I played the course with his scorecard in mind. And I imagined that he was there with me. And it was kind of a bonding experience after all those years, and also a way for me to understand my own feelings about my resentments and to overcome them. And that's really the message of the book, is that if you think about your life in the right way, you can be filled with gratitude rather than regrets.
I think that's great, because I'm sitting here as you're talking, thinking to myself, the last thing I want to do about my father who abandoned me is imagine playing golf with him.
Yeah.
But how do you feel now after this, after writing this book? You feel lighter as a person overall?
I do feel liberated. I feel that first of all, I feel I understood a lot of the influences that he actually had on me that I didn't even know about. So I understand better why I am the person I am now. I understand how somebody like my father could make a choice when he was young that was very irresponsible, and I don't absolve him for that. And he hurt my mother very badly, and made it rather difficult for me in many ways growing up. But I also understood how resilient I was and how I was able to actually create a life for myself that ended up working. And it also gave me a sense that I know what it was in my life that was meaningful and purposeful, and really getting a crystal clear grasp on that gives me a good sense about choices going forward.
Thanks to William for that perspective.